you know.
Yeah, the carrot is the Narbash prestige skin that he's got dangling in front of him that he keeps grinding for.
Bro, I'm so confused. This man just said a carrot. They can hear us, by the way. He's like, get him a carrot. I was like, bro, I don't know if he's trying to tell me I'm not healthy or something. I don't get it. Okay, they can hear us. What's up, everyone? Welcome to this week's episode of the PREDCAST. This is number, I swear to God, I just forgot it. Oh my God, 48. Number 48. Let's go. And we got a very special guest with us. We got the one and only, the CEO, the people's champ. We're not going to say his name yet. He's going to introduce himself here in just a moment. We're going to talk a lot about a lot of things. We're going to try and get a couple questions from the community thrown in there, here and there. So just want to go ahead and appreciate everybody that's tuning in. We're going to try to keep it as respectful as possible while simultaneously get to the meat of the bone that we all want to get to in certain questions, right? So what we'll do is let's get our introductions along the way. If we could start with Robbie, then we'll go ahead and go into Pinzo, F6, Bearded, and myself. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself, if you could.
Hey guys, thank you for having me. I'm Robbie, or RGSace, as most of you know me, founder and CEO of Omeda Studios. And yeah, excited to be back on the PREDCAST.
Happy to have you here. Again, I know it's late, so appreciate you doing this for us.
Yeah, what time is it over there?
It's 20 to 1.
If you just move stateside, this will be a lot easier for you.
Yeah, I'm Pinzo. I'm a content creator, make Pred content, YouTube daily, Twitch daily, all that kind of stuff. You guys can catch me on all my socials at Pinzo. Pretty easy to find, you know how it be.
It's boy F6, your neighborhood shiller. I am a Twitch streamer, and I sometimes upload a YouTube video, but primarily you can catch me here or just casting over for the PCC whenever we start that back up. But yeah.
Oh my. All right. What's going on, everybody? It's I, the beautiful Marine, your Michigan Wonder, and excited to bring this episode to you. I know this one's going to be a great one. So I can't wait to get into it. But before we get into it, real quick, I got to let you know that we are doing all month, when I'm streaming, we're doing Frightfest for the Little Victors. Mott Children's Hospital. They're taking donations to help kids get stuff like an adaptive controller for somebody that needs it, to be able to play games while they're in the hospital waiting for surgery, or an iPad so they can keep up on schoolwork and also keep in touch with family while they're in hospitals for long terms and stuff like that. So exclamation point kids in chat should still work for that going on. And if you guys like that link, help out if you're able to. If not, promote that link so we can get more people to help donate. We're almost to our goal of 1,500. We're like 1,150. So love seeing that. Keep that up. Thank you, Leshan, for hitting that. And the first question, pushing over to you, Windu, was by Sergeant Smokey. He wanted to know how far Pretty Boy got to his Narbash Affinity.
Oh, he actually asked? Bet. So I'm halfway through. I'm just over halfway through level 5. I'm about to be level 6. Hopefully after PREDCAST, I'm going to keep grinding. If all goes well, before I go to bed tonight, I'll be probably like quarter through 6 or halfway through 6. I might try to go all the way to 7, bro. I just know I'm literally right around the corner from getting that Narbash. But what's up, guys? I'm Windu, also known as Windu the Mace, predominantly doing Predecessor content here and there. A little bit of Star Wars, a little bit of racing, but especially with all this grinding that's available to me now, bro, I kid you not, guys, I did 21 hours streaming yesterday straight, grinding the Narbash. And then slept 3 hours and then streamed the rest of today, basically, after I got a couple things done. So I've just been grinding in itself. I kind of want to go across the room really quick. What did you guys think? What were the first impressions when you first saw the skins that you were trying to grind for? What did you guys feel going into that?
Euphoria, is that a word?
Really?
It's a word.
It's a word. It's the correct word.
You know what it means?
No, I heard it one time when somebody was like describing something, so I figured I'd just throw a word out there that sounded smart.
No, I like it.
Okay. I'm not spelling that and make it. But we'll just say it's a good feeling. I felt really good about it. And I was excited to get ready to start grinding that out.
Pinzo?
I was stoked. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Pinzo.
I was surprised. The skins, like, the thing about, especially, like, I'm a Smite player, and if you guys play Smite, you guys know that the card art always gaps the skin. The card art always looks fantastic, and the skins look so-so. And I think that the art we were given for the last, 10 days or whatever before the patch did the skins pretty good justice to how they look in game. So, like, I was pleasantly surprised that the skins look like the ones that I didn't go through and look at every single one, but the ones that I cared enough to look at looked like I thought they looked good.
Yeah.
Which is
Muriel looks spicy on the card art and in the game, bro. Yeah. Muriel's looking dope.
I agree with you. Muriel is one of my top 3, and I don't like Muriel as a character. I don't play her. I just don't have fun playing her. So but her skin, that makes me almost wild. I'm like, you know what? If I ever play some sport, that's probably the one I'm going to want to grind on, because she's probably got top 3 skin overall. I would say, but I agree with what you're saying, Pinzo. The card art or the wallpapers we were given to show off throughout the week and a half that we had or whatever of it, they definitely did do them justice, in the sense that even, like, I'm not a fan of the Bellica skin. I think the Bellica skin is probably one of the lowest ones out there. She looks more bronzy and not actually the magma fiery that everybody else has. She just has this, like, little bronze or, like, copperish look to her, and just, like, it looks almost like it's hey, this is your bronze tier, now wait till you get to your mastery, and then, like, that's what her master skin is, or affinity skin is, that's kind of like that. Yeah, right. It's in that situation. It's like, not that big of a, it's not fun. But when I saw the 2 that I was, like, contemplating to go through, I'm like, all right, it's either Xerath or Grux. Which one do I want? I'm going to see either one of them in game. When I see what in game, I'm hoping one of them's going to scream out to me, this is the one you want. And neither one of them did that, because they were both that good that I'm like, I don't know which one to pick. So I just went with the comfort zone. I went with Grux, because Grux is the one I have my most time with anyways. So I'll go Grux first, then I'll get Xerath next. But I love the look of Xerath and Grux and like the fiery burn in his mouth and everything that's going on. It looks like with Xerath and Grux, it looks like there's just fire burning inside of them, and it's great. I love it.
Bro, I'll tell you what, I did not think that this whole grind fest was gonna be activated in me, bro. Like, I thought, I'm like, okay, you know what? I'll play a little bit here and there, like, whatever. We're gonna get towards our skins. The moment that I hit from 0 to 1, I was like, I'm not fucking going to sleep. Like, yo, I'm not going to sleep, bro. I was like, who's down to grind this skin with me? Like, oh hell no, bro. And I'll tell you what, I personally, as far as the skins go, I 1000% was not going to choose Narbash. I literally was contemplating all these other skins and everything, but the moment that I saw that, like, the black charcoal skin all over the Narbash and everything, I was like, bro,
kit,
yo, the drum kit and everything, bro. That's what I'm saying. I was like, bro, honestly, Narbash was my second mastery ever in OG Paragon. Iggy was the first one. Iggy's not in the game yet, right? Yeah.
Hopefully never comes.
Nah, yeah, chill out. But
Iggy comes next week.
Whoa.
whoa.
But here's the thing. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go for Narbash. That was the second one, closest one to the OG, staying true to the roots and everything. And the amount of matches that I've seen people grinding for masteries is absolutely hilarious. The fact that there's so many masteries being grinded for at the same time. Or I'm sorry, not masteries, affinities. Just that's what Paragon players used to know them. Now, in its own, before we get into some of these questions, let me ask you, what's the wildest team comp? Like, what's the wildest, like, position and role? Like, nah, I'm grinding this skin. I'm about to be a Muriel jungle or some random shit like that. What's the wildest thing you'll run into?
I was about to see a Wraith jungle, but somebody dodged on my team. I don't know. It wasn't me, because I but it was somebody. Like, I was looking at me, oh, this is not going to be a fun match. But I was like, I'm going to play it because I need the XP. So, like, whatever. And then somebody else is like, somebody said Wraith jungle, and the next thing you know, bam, it was disbanded or whatever. I'm like, ooh, okay. I'm like, that would have been bad. I would not have had fun with that one, because his wave clear itself is bad. So I can only assume that the jungle clear is going to be bad as well. So that wouldn't have been fun, but I'm glad I didn't see that one.
I played a game today with, I was playing Xerath support with Howie carry. I think we had a Sevarog mid, a Shinbi solo, and like a Grux jungle. And that's probably like the wildest one that I've seen.
I was on the other team, like, what am I ever seeing? But it was somehow working, and I was actually stressed out for like a
bro. Howie Xerath duo lane.
It was against a Steel.
Throwing it out there, man.
I forget who the AC was. Like a
Steel Drongo, I think.
Steel Drongo. I was like, how do you guys lose against a Howie Xerath support? And then I was.
They were getting bodied, man.
Dude.
Hey, man, dude, you just get flash pre-6 and then you just ult. You just press R on the carry at level 6 and then you win.
I don't want to talk about it. Oh.
It worked multiple games in a row. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. All right, it wasn't a one-time thing.
Bro, I went up against a Howie Countess duo as a Narbash. That was absolute hell for like 30 minutes straight because they didn't want to surrender, bro. That was get me out. What were you gonna say, Brady?
So Robbie, while the team was creating these skins, which was the ones or the top 2 or 3 that like just stood out to you when the team was going through and creating them, and you were like, okay, these are gonna be great?
I think the Xerath one was pretty cool. That was the one that like really stood out. I think that one maybe also because like it wasn't one we'd seen before, right? Like all of them had kind of references, so we kind of like, I obviously played Paragon a ton, so I knew kind of what the other masteries looked like. But the Xerath one, when we saw that, we're like, oh, like that's awesome. So that one stood out. I think the Greystone one was quite nice as well. I think the colors contrasted well. And then the Wraith one, I really liked Wraith's skin. So those 3 stood out to me personally. But I know like everyone in the team had like their own personal favorites. Right. I think it also like you kind of gravitate towards the heroes that you play more. Like, especially if your role is like more like ADC, then you kind of gravitated more towards the ADCs. But I think Xerath was the one that like everyone was like, oh, this is cool, because it was like, hey, we made this character, we put a lot of time and effort into like just getting Xerath out, and then seeing like the master skin, we're like, oh, that's cool.
Okay. Now, just feedback, and I know we're just talking about obviously the highlights here, but feedback, I would, again, Xerath being OG character and the skin is great, but you have your other OG character, Kira, and hers to me, in my opinion, was a little lackluster. Like, I love the feathers on Chimera, how they're the burning embers, and hers just look like they're red feathers. Like, they don't have that. If
the bow was orange, it would fix the entire skin. If the bow was like golden, I think the skin would be fine.
I mean, I do agree with you. I think the weapon should, be the hero mastery. I agree with that, but I don't think that fixes it, because again, I'm looking at her. The part
I don't mind it, to be honest.
When you're looking back at her, like you're running down lane with her, and it's just these dread feathers. It's like if there were that burning ember one, just very similar to what Chimera, it would loop it into being that the affinity skins, like what we're looking at.
Okay, 1 sec. So just working off of that Wolverine, Ace, can I ask, like, I'm assuming that one person didn't make every skin. Was there like 2 teams that were making the skins?
No, one person made every skin.
One person made every skin, really?
Yeah.
It's just like some of them just don't match up. Like if you look at like Bellica, right? Like the way that hers is kind of bronze and a lot of the others are like that true like magma kind of color. I was just curious if that was, something that was multiple teams.
It was one person made, well, 2 people worked on it, but one person made all the skins. So like one person concepted, provided feedback, like an artist, and then like a technical artist went in and created all of them. I think on the Bellica one, I think we were just trying to break up stuff a little bit so that it felt different. Like you don't want to get one and then like another one is kind of similar and they're all kind of similar. Still want it to feel
especially on like humans.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, like we don't want every affinity skin to feel the same, so that it does feel like I got something different. Whereas if they all kind of felt the same, and maybe we like overshot it with Bellica to a point where like people don't like it, but the intention was more like to make heroes feel also a bit individual versus like belong to a set, but also individual in those sets.
It's a good
so
reason.
I mean, it's definitely something we can adjust as well. It was just more like we don't want everything to feel the same, so it does feel like you are grinding to something different.
Yeah, you didn't want it to be like a copy paste all the way through, all 36 characters. You just, all right, we just have the same texture, copy paste all the way across. You didn't want it to be that. And that's understandable, completely understandable. I just feel like, and again, I just feel like maybe, again, like you maybe overshot. I think if we just kind of bring it back up, up towards the the level of what these other ones are. Would
Belica
be a
just
good
needs
move.
all she needs is red hair and red eyes. Boom, skin fixed. Come on.
I mean, giving her the red eyes would definitely give her that.
The eyes,
at
man,
least
the
tie her into that.
eyes.
Yeah, well, at least tie her into that. A lot of the,
I mean,
Kira's got the eyes. Fang Mao's
eyes
got
look
the eyes.
so
Grux
good,
has the
man.
eyes. Yep.
Yeah, we
So-
definitely like noticed the eyes, and again, that was also like a conversation we had where a lot of people on the team were like, "Hey, a lot of these eyes are glowing. Like, why aren't these other eyes glowing?" And it was like, we can always change it, but we'd rather like see if keeping it like having heroes that are slightly different creates that variance. But yeah, it's useful feedback, and Tim, who's the artist that worked on it, I can definitely, I'm sure he's gonna watch this at some point, but we can definitely have a look and see what we can do with like Kira and then maybe Belica and then also some of the eyes. Just also wanting to maintain like some individual elements as well.
Well, I think the Wraith Lunar
That's a good
Ops.
reason for why they're different.
I was gonna say, I do think that the Wraith Lunar Ops that you guys also released at the same time is a great example of how sometimes just a little bit harsher contrast makes it pop a little bit more, as opposed to a little bit of magma with a little bit like this, kind of copper, platinum, platish color look going on. But it's like I was saying on Narbash, the fact that it's got this black charcoal with the magma, I thought that was spicy. Same thing on Rampage, Grux, for example, right? These monster creatures, I think, look the dopest, by the way. I'm gonna just throw that one out there.
The crowns are way better on the monster.
Yeah, for sure. The horns and everything, bro.
The horns.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the horns, like they have a funny beginning, because that one was like,
Yeah,
we
they have like a little.
basically- So go ahead.
They have like a little baby horn thing. It makes you feel like a child, like a little dinosaur. You're like,
And before
Now you gotta
time.
get the bigger one.
yeah.
I think
yeah,
it fits really well with Grux and his, like, he's already got the horns coming out, so it just kind of gives him the front two just kind of glow. It flows with his skin for sure.
Yeah, the horns are like, so we started with the crowns originally, like I guess the normal crowns.
Right.
So we'll call those ones crowns. And so we started with those because obviously they weren't provided, none of them were provided in the assets. So we're like, okay, we want to make the crowns. We started like putting the crowns on a lot of the monster heroes, and then like a week or 2 weeks before we had to ship, we were like, this, like, it doesn't feel right. Like, it didn't look good, and we just didn't feel comfortable shipping it, like, with the crown like clipping through a lot of these heroes, and like Rox's was like super weird. So then we like quickly went back, like added the horns in. I think Lucas, who was the concept artist, he designed like these really cool, like all the variants for the horns. And then we added them to he drew them on Grux initially, and we're like, oh, this is like way cooler than the crowns, like we have to ship this. Quickly worked on those, added like some VFX as well. I don't know if you guys have seen them in game yet. I know you have, Windu. But yeah,
I've seen the
added,
blue
like,
ones.
VFX.
That's
Yeah.
all I got so
Yeah.
far.
Windu, you're muted.
New.
We didn't want to hear him talk anyways. It's fine.
But yeah,
Testing.
Yeah, you're good. You're back.
Oh, what in the world just happened? But no, what I was gonna say is, so when you got the horns in the game, there's like this little fire animation going on. So legit, Narbash's mohawk, if you got the radiant skin, which is like all whited out with gold, your hair literally starts low-key glowing, whatever color the crown is. So with a purple crown, I got like a tint of purple mohawk going on and everything. Like, it's dope, bro. Like, it's barely noticeable in game, but pretty spicy. I will say.
That's the Ascension skin you're talking about, right?
Yeah, the one we got as a reward
The white
from last
one.
season. Yeah.
Yep. So while we're talking about the crowns and antlers, if somebody can, I'll read it. If somebody can help me understand the question, because I don't understand it because I never played Halo. Lokan asked, the crowns have no requirement to get. All it is hours put in. There needs to be achievement skins. The crowns should have and something to
F6
have
knows
all
what this
skins.
guy's about, man.
If you ever,
Yeah, he came by my stream too.
From Halo 3
Yeah.
would know what I mean. So I don't know what he means. So if somebody can kind of reiterate that
I
and
can
explain
summarize, man. Locan has been going into every stream he can find this week and complaining that you have to pay for crowns and all you have to do is play. He thinks the crowns need to be like free but locked behind achievements or some shit. Like I
gotta say, I took my time to thoroughly explain it to him, and he's the only person that's been timed out in my streams in the last year. Like, it's just, bro, like at this point.
I
So
told
let's-
him to drop it.
So
or
let's say I
timed
didn't
him out.
ask that. Let's say I didn't say who it was. Can
Okay.
somebody explain the question to me so I
Yeah,
can
so-
understand it? Because I don't know Halo at all.
I got
Let's
you.
not worry about who asked the question. Let's worry about the question.
I got you. Okay, so to reiterate the question, essentially, currently, the premium track is essentially just dumbed down. You can another track that you can unlock. So when you reach that level, you get a bonus reward. You still have to reach the level. You still have to earn it, right? It's just instead of getting one reward, you now get two, right? Follow so far?
Yes.
And now, worth mentioning, so a lot of people don't know because there seems to be a little bit of confusion of this out there. When the system is complete, you will be able to unlock the secondary track, the premium track, via free, an unlock token, or paid premium currency. Now, we're going to get into that here in a little bit. We're definitely going to talk about that in detail, but in its own, what he's saying is he feels that crowns or other cosmetic items as such shouldn't be given by just playing the game via time. He thinks that that should be more connected to like an official mastery system. Like, hey, you get the crown whenever you get your first pentakill, for example. He's saying that there should be achievements tied to it. You know what I'm saying? So now I'm okay with that system, and I think a system like that should exist, but I don't think the crown should be in there. They like the crowns are there. That's something that we're used to. I want Omeda to give me something new for a system like that. Give me something. Give me something like Overwatch, like a Fang Mao's stick with a blade, whatever the hell the name of that thing is. Like it's not a scythe.
I think
No,
it's
it's
a
not.
glaive. I would call
It's
it
a
a glaive.
glaive. It's a glaive.
Glaive. So let's say like Fang Mao's glaive, you unlock a different version of that in the future, like a diamond one or something. You know what I mean? Like when you earn it via like an actual achievement. They could still do stuff like that. I just think that complaining about the current iteration isn't necessarily the way to go about it, because they could always do more.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. You can always do more, and complaining about getting free stuff is the worst thing you can do. Let us get the free stuff. Don't complain about that stuff. All right, let that be a thing. Like, if you think you're going up against somebody that's got the huge antlers, the premium antlers, that this person's all of a sudden amazing. Well, that's your fault for thinking that, right? That person obviously just put hours in. That doesn't mean they're great, right? I have the blue horns. Does that mean I'm good because I've been grinding? No, that just means I've been putting my time in. It is what it is. It's a time-based thing. But the skill expression things like, hey, you got a penta with Feng Mao, you unlock this. You got a penta with Grux, you unlock this. That could be something they could definitely do, and I definitely agree that should be something, because that will inspire gamers to be better. So I'm all about that. Anything that's going to inspire a gamer, like my son eventually is going to want to play this game when it finally comes to console. He's going to see something like that, and he's like, oh, he does it with Call of Duty. Call of Duty, you got to get so many of these kills to unlock the Kimbo sticks or whatever. He's like, Dad, how do I do this? I'd read it to him what he had to do, and he'd go into the game and he'd do what he's got to do. He's like, okay, I'm gonna knock it out. He would do the same thing here. So yeah, I think they definitely something like that. Robbie, take that back to the team, and that's something that I would think.
Well,
would be
okay,
great.
so that brings me to question number one, straight to Robbie, which is from the Discord and a couple of posts on Reddit this week, right? I'd seen things that you're like, well, this is the Affinity system, but the Mastery system is kind of this other thing, and I don't know if you just like said it in my chat a couple times or whatever, right? But I know you'd been talking about the Mastery system kind of being this achievement tied system, like versus the Affinity system, which is just a play to earn system, right? Do you have any like? That's kind of that's a very there wasn't a really pointed part to that question, but
Can I
like
explain it more?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know if I mentioned it on here or it was in my own stream about like a while back. But I kind of agree with Bearded, is that like, I think playtime doesn't really necessarily mean you're good at a hero. Like, it just means you put the hours in, right? So the way I look at mastery in a game like a MOBA is similar to systems like League of Legends and Overwatch, where they have like specific challenges and things you have to complete that really define like, okay, this person is actually really good at this hero. They didn't just put the hours in, because you could just put the hours in an AI game. But we do want to reward players for putting those hours in, but doesn't necessarily mean that you actively improved or you actively did something that was really great with this hero. I'm not certain. And so that's why we wanted to clearly differentiate, probably poorly in communication, but clearly differentiate that these are two separate systems. And our goal for mastery is really so that when we do eventually ship that system, it's like, okay, when I see this person or I see the things that they have, like, I know this person is like really, they mastered like Feng Mao, for example. It's still like super early on, but it's kind of what you were saying, Beard. It's just like Call of Duty and all these other games have these like specific challenges that people will just chase after. Like, I don't know, like, you snipe someone and kill them with like 2 people with 1 bullet, right? Like a collateral or something like that, right? Like you could add that to Murdoch, like kill 2 people with 1 long arm of the law, for example. And so I think those things are like a lot more interesting, at least to me personally as a gamer. Like, those are the things I find super interesting, things I want to grind for. And I think that's kind of more where we are leaning towards, like that being a mastery system versus the Affinity system, which is more just playtime.
You know what? Mentioning Call of Duty, why isn't it called just like a prestige system? The skins are called prestige.
So we did end up calling it prestige because initially you could prestige the Affinity system.
Oh, like in an early version?
Yeah, in an earlier version you could loop back around, and then that was how you acquired like different level crowns. But we figured like the grind was like really long at that point.
Yeah, that would have been long. Not going.
Yeah, that would have been crazy.
That would have been long.
I'm all about a system like that though. Maybe not the Affinity system here, but like a prestige system. What is it? I thought there was another word for it. Like you basically, maybe it is just prestige, but I thought there was a different word for it. But like, you can just like, all right, after that you get like, you got a border, and then after you hit level 100, that border grows, it gets bigger, and then you hit level 100 again, that border grows again. I think something like that just kind of show that, just it's more showing your loyalty and grind to the game. Just something like that would be cool to have. Like, because I get this goes to level 10, and then after level 10, you're done with that grind on Grux. Like, you're okay, now you can move on to the next hero, and that's fine to have. To again try to get people to play other heroes and all that stuff, but like something that's kind of like my border, my banner, or some of that, or something my in-game just says, hey, when you go into loading screen, you see, oh, Beard Wolverine, this person's been playing for a while, that you can tell they're prestige 3 or whatever, something, however that might be. But I think something like that would be a good thing.
In Smite you have stars, so when you hit level 10, which is like the max like level on a god in Smite, you every 1,000 worshippers after that, you get a star on your loading screen.
Okay.
And so you'll load into games with people who have 50 stars on a character, and it's like, oh damn, that guy plays a lot of this character, right? And like
that's a
that
Windu one-trick pony.
Yeah, that's an OTP for sure. But like that kind of thing, even, right? Now that we have things like loading screen banners, right? That's something that I'm sure at some point, right, they could add in. Whether or not it's just like shows like after level 10, maybe it's 10,000 XP, you gain another star or a level or whatever, and it displays your level when you're loading into a game on that character, right? Something just like simple, but to show like you're committed past the normal mastery track.
So I do have a question for you. It's when it comes to like the entire Affinity system itself, we talked about like, oh, there's going to be tokens, right? But it wasn't like actually delivered like the same time it was. Why was it like just not in game, or why was it just not delivered with the actual system itself and kind of left out?
Yeah, so I think when we originally I just taking a step back to just like provide you guys context on how we designed the system, and then we'll dive into that. So basically, when we originally sat down to design the system, we're like, okay, we want to put something into the game, and we want to put it relatively quicker than we actually felt like we wanted to. Because for us, I think as we stated in the video I released like for early access for us was purely gameplay. Like, we really didn't intend to ship a lot of these features that exist outside of the game. It was like focusing on gameplay, refining things, building up pipelines for characters, all these sorts of things. But we also understand that people wanted to be rewarded for their time, grind certain things and such. And I think that's a really good indication, right? Because people are like, hey, we like the game so much, we enjoy the gameplay, and we want to grind something. And so when we sat down to introduce a system, we thought about a few things. We're like, okay, if we're going to build this system, how are we building it in a way that we can build other things adjacent to it? So you guys will see in the coming months like adjacent things appearing to the system, and then it'll kind of make sense. I don't want to leak anything here, but we had to build a system in a way that we could reuse a lot of these components on other things to reduce the time it took us to ship like other features. So you'll see like a lot of similarities in other systems coming fairly soon. So that was one consideration, was we need to build something that can be used across other systems. The other consideration was we want to ship this relatively fast. And so to ship this relatively fast, we initially planned out everything we wanted, and then we descoped till we got to a point where we felt like there was a comfortable balance between, hey, we're actually shipping something will people enjoy, but we can also get this out in like a meaningful time period. And so we had always targeted October 24th as the date we wanted to ship these things. When we originally scoped out a lot of the things that we wanted, we tokens was one of the things that didn't initially get descoped, but then there were like external factors outside of this system that meant that we couldn't ship tokens. And unfortunately, it's going to sound terrible, but I can't actually share those until like next year, and it'll become pretty apparent like when you guys look back at it why we had to make those decisions. But we couldn't ship the tokens the way we wanted to, and we felt any alternative that we added, one, created additional complications with how we initially had designed the system to scale across other features that we were building. And so we decided that it would be better to just get the system out there so people had something to grind, and we would give them tokens as soon as we could get that feature in. But I guess from like, even from my perspective, when I looked at it, and I'm not an engineer that designs it, like I'm not an engineer and I'm also not the game designer. I was like, this seems like, why couldn't we just add like a second, basically a second currency? But it turns out like it's much more complicated if you didn't initially set things up with that in mind. And so we decided, hey, we just want to get this out the door for players, and then we'll add in tokens later. Like in hindsight, maybe a bad idea, but if I told you, hey, we wouldn't be able to ship the Affinity system this side of this year, I don't know if that was like a trade-off that we wanted to make.
Okay.
I gotta say, personally, on the end result that you mentioned, before I got my hands on the patch, I was completely upset. I was a little pissed off because I first saw the picture, right? I didn't actually read the blog post like many people. I just saw it got shared on Twitter, and I was like, am I reading this right? Hold up. Hey, Bearded, do me a favor, call me real quick. I know you're at work. We gotta talk. I
gotta have everybody call.
Yeah. I was like, bro, hold on. I was like, yo, we gotta have a chat. Like, yo,
we were
PREDCAST.
when he got everybody else to do it. That was me and him first, and then he was like, all right, somebody else call me on Twitter.
Yeah. So I gotta say, like, I'm one of the ones that definitely jumped to the conclusion. I didn't even know that there was anything free just based off of the picture in its own. And yeah. I know that there's been a lot of feedback being shared and everything. Definitely one of those things moving forward. Even something as simple as the word unlock for free in a little Photoshop box or something in the corner, just so people know that that's an option. But yeah, and I'll say future feedback as well. And this is the example I've been using. I would totally have done a 3-minute video saying everything that was in that blog post, because I know people that can barely struggle reading the McDonald's menu, bro. Like expecting them to read the entire thing and fully understand it. Like, we still have people in the chat right now thinking that the only way to get this is to pay, that they don't know that there's some sort of free system, right? So yeah. I like the fact that changes were made relatively quickly before the patch. I'm gonna give Omeda kudos on that one, because I didn't even know if changes were gonna be made officially. I know, yeah. They were like, oh, feedback is being considered here and there and such. But what went through your mind whenever all that feedback came up? Because I can imagine, because the patch is pretty lit. I can imagine the last thing y'all were like, hold up, they're mad? What the fuck is this? Yo, whoa. What went through your mind?
What was it? It was Friday. And then I think I was in meetings when everything dropped. So I was like a little distracted, but I was like getting like words of like, hey, like some people aren't happy with these things and so on and so forth. And then I think, I can't remember, but someone like sent me something someone else had said, and I was like, oh, this doesn't seem like that good. And you always get like negative feedback. Like there's going to be some people that love every change and some people that hate every change, right? Like that's just part of being a developer. But then when we started looking at like more and more feedback, we realized that like, oh, like we actually like missed something here. And so that was on us. And so, you know, we obviously jumped into a call with you guys. I think I jumped into a call with you guys as soon as like I'd finished my like actual work meetings. And so like we spent some time like listening to your guys' feedback. I know I messaged a few folks like privately as well. And so we were just like making sure that we understood everything from like everyone's perspective, I guess, because what you also don't want to do is you don't want to make a decision and then it's like, hey, you also missed what people were feedbacking on, if that makes sense. Like then that just seems like pointless. So we're like perfectly fine to change things, right? Like it's early access. So I think if we did everything perfectly, we would never need an early access and we'd just, you know, be off to the races. So we're always super open to like feedback, and we like to push the patches on a Tuesday so we have time to iterate on things throughout the week versus pushing them like on a Thursday or Friday where it's like, hey, see you guys, we're off for the weekend now. So like a lot of the things we do is like we do want to gather feedback. Now, could we have gathered feedback from the system in advance? Like that was something you had mentioned, Windu, I believe, like when we spoke. It's like, hey, you could have just sent this to us and maybe like some situations could have been avoided. So for sure, like that's a learning. But yeah, one of the things that we were like really intent on is like understanding where the key issue is, and then if we were to address that issue, and you know, with anything in general, want to make sure that we completely understand. So that was kind of the thing that was going through my mind, was like, are we understanding where people's frustrations are, and then you know, how quickly, if we were to change something. Like the good thing about the system is that because we're reusing it in other elements, like we can switch rewards and such out quickly. Like it has some limitations, but certain things can be switched out quickly. So we basically like gathered all your feedback, listed out like with the engineering team, like, okay, what are the things that are possible? Like this is our number one wish. Like we would like to move the skin to the free track, for example. And our engineering team said, hey, yeah, we can do that basically before Tuesday. Like we can do it on Monday. And it required a bunch of like manual work to do it, like a couple hours of tweaking stuff, but ultimately we could get it done. And there was others like, hey, how quickly, if we really rush the tokens, could we get it in? But that was also like still so far out that we were like, hey, ultimately we might delay the patch, and we don't even have a date as to when the tokens could be done, right? Because we initially wanted that in the MVP anyways. So like this seems like the best, seems like most people's concerns was that the skin wasn't free, and we kind of felt like we had a really good solution to making it free for players that, one, didn't impact our roadmap too much, to ensure that something that we didn't delay further things for you guys. And so that's kind of how it all went through, like in our heads, and then we arrived at that conclusion, and I think most players seem to be pretty happy with that.
Now, I do want to give you guys a shout out to the dev team. You know, you, Smokey, like I'm talking about, we even had like Joey up in there. Like it's the fact that, you know, for lack of a better term, all hell started breaking loose a little bit, right? You know, certain fires and pitchforks started coming out throughout. Yep. And the fact that like I hopped in the voice chat because we have a little partner Discord, right? I hop in the voice chat. It's like, yo, we got to have a chat going. Like the devs got to get in here. Like they got to hear some of this feedback, like for sure. And the fact that so many people from the dev team were able to go in, hear us out, you know, we had good debates back and forth and everything. But I just want to give a shout out to you guys on Omeda, and I want to give a shout out to all the Pred partners, because the amount of proper points, statements, arguments, like fighting for the community, points of views and everything that was done that day, that shit was clutch. I wish it was a conversation that could be recorded and shown. That was some real TV shit, quite frankly. But I actually want to ask a question also that Turk was mentioning in here. So one thing that we are not 100% clear on, because nobody's gotten there yet, what happens when you reach level 10? Is it just capped? You no longer gain experience? Or is the experience being tracked at a possible future overlap system, kind of like you were talking about before? Like, how does that work?
I know the XP is definitely being tracked, but I don't know like what happens when you hit 10, like if it shows you where you are XP wise. I think it might just hit a cap. Like I don't know what the last level is, but let's say it's 10k, it would just show you a 10k out of 10k. And I don't know, something we did speak about quite a lot is like, you know how in League you can just see your points go up, so like this person has spent time. And I think you guys mentioned the star system in Smite. And so that's something that we do want to add. But so we are tracking the XP. I just don't know when we would add that in. It's pretty hard to get to level 10, so I don't think it's a rush on our side. But it's something we're conscious of, that we know that some people are going to spend like hundreds of hours in a single champion. So how are those people being recognized? So it's something we're aware of, and we are tracking the XP on the backside. But yeah, there's nothing in the game that would kind of let people know at this current point.
Gotcha. Okay,
Speaking of just like few people hitting level 10, like one of my few complaints about just the way that the actual track is like laid out is that you can't preview crowns. Like, is that something that is like in the works for the future?
Yeah, that's something I think we kind of had it in, and then there was like some issues. So you'll definitely be able to preview crowns. I mean, the goal is that you can preview everything, right? So you'll be able to preview the recall, the jump pads, all that stuff. So I think the crowns we were looking at to see if we can fix it for the next patch.
Okay. Because I know like the last 10th level is like the last crown, right? So like if you can't see it, some people just don't know how cool of a thing they're grinding for, and they won't, Yeah,
I mean, I do kind of like the fact that someone has to grind it to see it. Like I remember for in like Paragon originally, they wouldn't show the mastery skin in this under the heroes collection until someone had like actually hit level 10 to unlock it. And so I kind of like the idea that, we don't know what it looks like until someone from the community shows us. So it's like a happy accident. I really like that idea, because I think it's like a community effort.
I don't like that idea. I wouldn't be able to pick Darius to Grux once I had that. Like that would have been a no bueno.
I don't mind that if it's community wide, but if I got to do it myself, then that's where it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's fair. So I mean, I think the fact that it was a bug was like, hey, we'll definitely fix this, and hopefully by the time we fix it, someone has like shown what the two variants of the crowns look like the normal crown and the horns.
Mm-hmm.
I see. Now, I'm curious as far as the how do I word this? Okay, so you know how we have crowns, right? As far as the banners themselves, is everything going to be tied to heroes? Are we going to get some like cool random totally obscure lore related stuff? Like, because right now we just have the two iterations, right?
Yeah, so the goal with the Affinity system was like, what are other things that we want to be able to reward players, and so that they can customize their profiles and such. And so we introduced the banners, the loading screen like stuff that you have, the borders and titles as like all things players could customize in the future. So the idea is definitely very much like, hey, you can get like different banners in the future. Maybe like, I know Call of Duty have like, call them like calling cards that you can unlock doing certain things, or
animated ones or something.
Exactly how you acquire them in Call of Duty, but yeah, that would be the idea. It's like, hey, we want to open this system up to be more than just from heroes. Like, say you got like a 1,000 minion kills or whatever. Like, hey, here's a banner for that. Like, tie that maybe into the achievement system. So that's kind of the overall goal. So that's kind of what I mean. Where like, when we built this system, because it's like the first big system that exists outside of our game, it's like tied into all these other things. So we didn't just think of like, hey, this is just the Affinity on its own. It's like, hey, these are 3 new reward types that didn't exist before. I mean, I guess you can count crowns, but these are 3 reward types that didn't exist before, and they tie into other things that we'll eventually be adding.
Okay.
One of the questions in chat, are tokens going to be backfilled? And I believe I have the answer to this, because I believe it was put in the blog post that everything from version 12, the XP you're getting from that, once you get to that, what is it, level 20 or something like that? I could be wrong on that, but like,
what patch is this? 13 or 12?
This is 12 right now.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, the tokens will be backfilled from season 3.
Yep. So everything. Oh, season 3. So even before 12.
Yeah. So like the whatever level you are throughout season 3.
Okay. All right. Even better. I thought it was from version from the patch we got Wraith. from there on, the XP you're getting, like the hero affinity XP that you're getting, I thought it was that. So even more. So yeah, you're getting even more of that situation. That's good.
And I just have one last question on the tokens before we move on, and that's you say that the tokens are tied into like other systems. Does that mean that in the future when we get tokens, we're going to have to choose between what to spend them on? Like, do I spend a token on this affinity pass, or is there something else I could spend this token on? Like, I have a single token and I have to choose, or is it just kind of like the bones that you're using to build like kind of separate token systems for each thing?
I don't remember how the other systems are built, but when I mean they're tied together, it's mostly like how the rewards structures are tied together, where like you can get similar rewards. Just how like doing different things in Call of Duty, you could get a calling card or a skin or whatever. But the tokens, as far as I'm aware, are tied only to the affinity system.
Okay.
So I don't know if like a lot of people noticed, but you guys changed the background on like the UI.
Yeah.
Right.
Lighting.
Looks so much better.
Yeah, and there's like a bunch of smaller changes, right? So is this like something that's going to be continuing on throughout like the rest of like the early access, obviously throughout until you guys get to a good point, or you guys is like actually just happy with the system right now? I think it personally still looks good. I think there's obviously still more improvements, but I like the direction that it's going. I think this one definitely looks cleaner than the original one. But are you guys happy with it right now, or are you guys like still planning on improving that UI?
Yeah, no, it's definitely like, I mean, I just looked at a newer version today. So yeah, we're definitely like constantly changing it. I don't think we're happy with how it looks. I think there's some issues with like how the heroes appear, how some of the skins look. Like they look a lot better in game versus the main menu, and like the main menu should probably be one to one with the game, and so that's an issue. Like with the in-game, and so that's an issue. And so today we looked at another image, setup that we had done, and that's just like a plain background, but the hero looks much better. So we're playing with different things, trying to figure out how we want to set it up. It also, as you build a level, you may notice like the camera's moving, and then you have to like it adjusts because the environment's slightly different when it tilts at angles, and so this creates like other additional complications. So what we may do is we may stick to like a plain background. When I say plain, it could also be like an image or like a background of like the map or something, or some like larger background that allows us to put more definition on the hero. Because what happens at the moment is like the focus is a bit weird, where like there's certain elements where they're in focus when the hero should be the focus. So yeah, we'll iterate on it, and then once we find something we're happy with, we'll kind of stop iterating on it. But I think for 13 there'll probably be a new one.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
So I got a question here. So this is a little bit more on the skins themselves. Now, whenever these affinity skins, prestige skins, not sure what name we're just gonna keep calling them. Whenever these skins were designed, like, was the purpose to kind of get them to be true, kind of true to the original Paragon Mastery skins, but with your own little flair to them? Like, was it just kind of like, okay, look at this one, do our best to kind of recreate our own version? Or was that like a whole, hey, this is from scratch what we want? Yes, we know that's there, but we're not using that as like 1,000% inspiration.
Yeah, I think it was more like, hey, this is the overall like theme, like, hey, this magma kind of theme is really cool. And we use some as references, but ultimately we were like, hey, we're happy to give the artist like creative freedom to go and just make something that looks like really cool. With like some caveats where we're like, we don't want everyone to look the same. We do want like their personalities to shine through in like individual ways, but it wasn't really like, hey, here's the reference, like go make this reference for us. It was more like, hey, how can we make this better, and kind of add our own twist to it. And also, I don't know if you guys noticed, but like Paragon changed it like quite a few times. So like Murdoch is very different. Like there's like 3-4 iterations of his. And so I think people just like different ones. So we're like, just make the ones that we think fit the game and kind of the direction of where we want to take Predecessor.
Okay, I like that.
Can we talk about?
I want to say real quick, it's not UI, but it's kind of that the music that put in the game. Like, there's actually music when you load up the game. You gotta log in. There's actually like noise. It like loading into the game before the music was put in. It just gave me this like alpha feeling. Like it's like I'm just loading into a game that like a closed alpha or something. Like, it just didn't feel there. Like, now it's starting to feel more of a complete game. Like, you got music going in there, you got music in the menu now. Like, that was a great change and perfectly added. And that raptor sound is on point.
Oh yeah, that was and the Ore Prime, like just making sure like people could hear it. Game changer. I like it.
Is there did I miss it on the patch notes somewhere? Was there a full list of the sound changes? Did I completely miss that? Because I thought on the patch notes it just said like, we changed some sound. Was there a list? Because I feel like every game I hear a new sound that I'm not used to.
I don't think there was a list provided, but like off the top of my head, like we added a Fangtooth one. I think there's like an orb one coming, or like a revision of the orb one coming in the next patch. We added obviously the main menu music. We changed Drongo slightly. We also fixed, I guess not fixed, but updated the Rampage skin, the Obsidian Rampage one, where like his it was using his bass sounds, and his in his base skin he has a chain, and then in the Obsidian skin there is no chain, so we reworked the sounds there so that it kind of actually fit the theme of the skin. And there was like a bunch of other touch-ups that people that they did, but it was mostly like on an individual basis or just like fixing some bugs.
Okay.
So I got a question. So I know that specifically with what happened, you know, the whole paywall, you know, argument that got brought up and everything. I know a lot of people were bringing up the fact that their faith in Omeda has been shaken. I saw that specific being said a lot throughout, right? And I know that you guys, you know, made a couple changes, released a post and everything. What would you say to the individuals that are like, hey, I'm happy on the changes they made,
yeah, but
I'm not 100% there back with them yet? Like, my trust got shaken a little bit based off of perspective. What would you say to them?
Yeah, I would say, like, look, I completely understand like their point of view. I think, you know, once you lose trust in anything, it's always hard to gain it back. But I think with us, like, we're super open to listening to people's feedback. Like, I'm here, like, you know, a couple of days after, and I'm sure a lot of people would have expected me to be like, I'm busy with work, I can't make it or something. But like, we're super open. We want to work with you guys. Like, you know, we were in a call together at like 10 o'clock my time on a Friday evening, and a bunch of people from the team as well on their Friday evenings, just taking time out to make sure that we like rectified the situation. You know, a lot of people were like really, really upset over the weekend. And so people genuinely do care. And ultimately, we're all humans just trying to make the best decision that we think is going to lead to the best outcome for the game. That's really all we're here for. And so we're definitely listening. We might not always see eye to eye on certain situations, but I think that's fine. I think that's the beauty of making a video game. It's like, there's different paths that everyone wants to take. There's different visions that everyone has for the product, but ultimately, like, we genuinely just want to do the best we can. And we're willing to listen, and also, you know, admit when we're wrong, but more importantly, like, take action as well, right? And not just take action like, hey, we'll think about fixing this thing. Like, we literally came in on Monday first thing, got together as a team, changed it right away, and then pushed it out for Tuesday. So I think we definitely like now working towards building back that trust that we lost with some players, but you know, we're always listening and always willing to make changes that we think will result in like a net positive for everyone.
Now, do you think? I'm trying to think how to word this. So let me ask this: do you think that? Okay, no, I'll ask it this way. Sorry. Previously, the last time you were here in PREDCAST, I remember that you told us specifically, like, you know, like, hey, the store is there. It was really more of a request and stuff. It's not about the money, right? But yeah, when people do see premium options being added for the money, I've had a lot of people reach out to me specifically, for example, is like, hey, this seems very money like orientated. Like, this seems like very money focused, right? What would you say to people on that side that think is like, oh, well, is Omeda getting greedy with us? Are they just trying to get more money out of us? What would you say to those people?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've stated like our goal isn't to monetize, but sure, when you put monetization things in the game, people like their goal is to monetize. Like we didn't build the system with that as like the core goal. We built the system with like, hey, how can we give people something that they can engage with? And then also add in additional rewards that we think are like a fair exchange of value. Like ultimately, we want every transaction to be where you feel good about the transaction as well. Like you feel like, hey, I trust Omeda with my money and I spent this money on a skin and I know like I got a good exchange of value. We don't want anyone to like buy. That's why we went back and fixed the Rampage skin, right? Like so many people bought that skin and we saw like a few people complain about like he doesn't have a chain, but it sounds like he has a chain. So we like spent the time to rework a bunch of stuff to make sure that those players felt like, hey, they bought this skin with their hard-earned money. We'll go back and fix it. And so we fixed it as soon as we saw feedback. And so we definitely want it to feel like a fair exchange of value. And so like our goal at this moment in time as a company is not to like monetize. If we wanted to monetize, I think it's all obvious we would just put more skins in the game, right? Like those are the things that sell the most in every single MOBA and every single video game. And you know, fortunately have a stockpile of tons of skins. So it's not a core goal. And you know, I know it's difficult to believe when you add in a monetization system, but we felt that this one was a kind of an in-between. It was an engagement system where people could interact it for free. And yeah, we kind of got it wrong with not putting the skin in, but hopefully, you know, we rectified that. And I've seen a lot of positive feedback from players like, hey, like now I feel like I have something to grind for. And that was the goal for you know, adding the skin in there. So yeah, we made a mistake, but the intention of the system, like the goals that we outlined originally were never to build it with like, hey, this is going to make a lot of money for the game, because systems like that don't move the needle massively for companies.
Agreed, especially when I mean, not everybody knows about it, and I hope there's some way that we can put something out there to help explain to the community that doesn't understand it. But the fact that there's going to be that token system that like literally, if you don't want to spend money right now, don't spend money. Just grind that hero, and then when you get that token, because there again, you just said it from season 3, the beginning of season 3 on, you can put that token towards it, and then everything's unlocked for you. All the crowns you wanted for the hero, you're going to get it. Do the grind now, get it taken care of. The win, bam, you got it unlocked as soon as you get that token. Everything's there. So they understand that. Then the people who know that, they're not spending money. They're gonna sit there and wait. I know we've been playing with people today that I know that are doing that. Like, hey, I'm just gonna wait, or they don't have the money now, and there's like, I know I'll get it eventually, and we're good to go. Then you got people who want to, or they already still have the money left over from when they bought the bundle. That you can put that towards it if you want. So like, it's options there. Like I understand the perception that the people have with that. I understand your side of it, and I'm like that. I'm just that, like, you know, what is that? Sweden? Is that the neutral one? Is that what it is? That's what I feel like right now. Or Switzerland? Which one is it? Switzerland. I feel like Switzerland. I just like, okay, I see you guys are both having issues, but I don't have an issue with it myself. Like you fixed it by giving, because to me, this is how I feel about it, right? Going into it, you guys promoted the skins. Nobody knew about the crowns. Nobody knew about the trails, you know, nobody knew about the emotes, nobody knew about the banners, nobody knew about that. That's all extra stuff that we didn't know we were getting. We thought we were getting the skins and maybe a little bit more. We didn't know what it was going to be though. So the fact that you put the skins beyond the premium side, that's what hurt the whole community. You fixed that by changing that, and now Switzerland's happy. All right, we're good to go now. Switzerland's no longer mad. You guys upset Switzerland by putting the premium track. You fix it. No, Switzerland's no longer, you know, mad. You're just gonna, again, we can't appease everybody. So there's some people who are gonna still be mad that just see that the fact that there's a premium side of it, and it's like, why do I gotta pay? And it's like, no, nobody said you have to. You don't have to pay it, and it's hard for people to understand that.
Yeah, I mean, like for me, I'm in the same spot. Like the skin, in every other game I've played that has some kind of mastery system like that, the skin is bought with free-to-play currency. So obviously we don't have that, right? So the other side of that would be to give it away for free. And so I think the skin has to be on the free side. Like, that's my opinion. But then, like, bro, whatever other cosmetics you want to put on the paid side, like, go for it. Emotes? I mean, like, bro, how much does an emote cost in Fortnite? $5?
Bruh.
And you're getting an emote plus crowns? I mean, like, I don't know. I've never bro. It's like it's a free to play game. You play for cosmetics. That's how it is in every other game, right? That the rest of it didn't bother me. The skin being on the same side or on the free side is correct. On the paid side, was not happy. But
and I mean, like, to really think about it, like, for one, me being upset like right away was like completely wild to Bearded. He was like, "What?" And it was really just because we agreed on the whole entire skin part, and like they sat down. Obviously, you guys as like the other part of the community that don't get the same, I guess, availability. The fact that they did that and just in general is completely like a whole entire show and tell of like, if it was really about the money, they would have just kept it the same and just been like, oh, hey, we're just going to keep it there. And it just is what it is. But the fact that they came in and changed something to be inside of where, hey, we think this skin should be over here on the free side, and we feel like that's going to make it more of a grindy, and they did that, and they were able to do that. I think that just kind of just negates the whole entire fact of like, it's just like for money kind of thing. Because I think you're 100% right. Pretty much every single game that I've ever played, the monetization is 10 times worse. You literally have to pay for anything you want to do in the game, like just even opening the game up and be like, oh, I want to do this. Oh, this is going to take you like 20 coins or something, and you have to pay for that. So I'm personally happy with it.
I got a question, and it pertains to on the console side a little bit, because the system itself, the goal is you guys want to have that token in there, and that'll be the free option side, and you're hoping to roll that out as soon as possible. But then at the same time, where you guys are planning on rolling out a test towards console towards the end of the year, towards December is what you guys are aiming for, if I remember reading that right.
Yeah.
Are you guys gonna try and have that system already in there when it comes to console as well, or?
No, I don't think so. Like the console test is mostly focused on like playing like the game. It's not really focused on like grinding the Affinity system. So yeah, that's not really the goal for us for that test.
For console, do you like when console drops, how do you guys expect that to change your development? Do you think like once console kind of gets out of the way and it comes out, do you think that'll speed things up, or do you think it's going to slow things down because now you also have to develop for console?
Yeah, I think it will speed things up, because the thing that really slows us isn't really anything on the feature side or gameplay. It's like all the TRC stuff. Like once you pass that stuff, you can just ship patches, and you're kind of like, it's like maintenance, right? It's much easier to maintain something than like build it from the ground up. And so, yeah, we're pretty confident that once we get it out, this out of the way, that we'll just be able to like continue building it and maintaining like the TRCs and the compliance side of things. And so it should speed up things.
What is TRC? Asking for a friend.
It's basically like a list of requirements that Sony and Xbox have to ensure that like their users have a smooth experience. So it's basically there to make sure that there's like some sort of quality control, which I completely agree with. You know, you don't want your game crashing the first time someone loads it up. So it's mutually beneficial, but you just have to make sure that you kind of meet all those requirements.
Can we ask why you guys got denied again? Assuming that's the reason that we're like console got pushed back again. Like, can we ask why?
I don't think we can say specifically why. But yeah, because there's like a lot of confidential stuff, but it wasn't anything that was like too major, but it does like, these things are like, you're dealing with a lot of like moving parts from different pieces of different companies, and so it just means that if you do get denied, things get pushed back. I think like X Defiant might have like worded it better than we have, but like they got denied, or they struggled to hit TRCs, and this is like a massive company that struggled with the TRC checks, and they like just delayed the game, right? And so it is really, really difficult to pass this stuff. And so the most recent time, the list is pretty tiny, but it's like, that can also just mean you got to like get things rechecked. We have to test everything again ourselves. And so it can be quite time consuming, even though you may have not passed on like 2 or 3 things, for example.
Okay. I know Windu asked a question about it and I missed it. So if I'm asking it again, I apologize. Just let me know I've asked it again. You guys have an idea how many keys you want to give out or however you're going to do that for the closed beta test?
I don't have an idea yet, but the goal for us is to make sure that everyone who wants to play can play.
Okay.
Do you know how many players have it wishlisted on PlayStation?
I actually haven't checked in a while.
And you have an idea of how long you want the closed beta test to go for?
I think so. I'm not sure. I mean, this is me personally speaking, rather than like if I take my Omeda hat off, is like I think a good time period would be like 2 weeks. I think that gives you like a good indication of, did the person that started on day 1, do they play on day 7 and day 14, right? Like, does this game hold users? Which is like the first thing. The second one is like, if you make it too short, how are people going to have a chance to like try all the content in the game? And granted, like there's not a lot of content, but there's definitely enough for like 2 weeks, right? With like 30 champions and such. And so you want people to be able to enjoy different heroes and also give you feedback on like, this hero feels great to play on a controller, this hero feels awful. And so I think 2 weeks to me, just personally, feels like a good time frame. I don't know if the plan is to go longer or shorter, but just personally, if it was like my decision, that's kind of where I would lean.
Okay. No, I agree with that, the time frame in that situation, because going back looking at PTO when they did theirs, the numbers that they put out say, hey, this is what we got for a closed beta test for a console. The numbers they put out, it was the amount of people played and the amount of hours played. It averaged to like 1.09 hours per person, and I'm like, that's like, to me, that's a low number. I'm thinking to me, like when you guys came out with your alpha, like I was a huge Fault supporter, but I instantly shut Fault down and I played you guys. As long as I was able to play, I was grinding the alpha for as long as it was available. So I was putting multiple hours in, right? Because to me, like, and I know that's what the normal human being is. If it's not always available, you're gonna take it. You're gonna be there as long as you can. So for people to be like, leave that those numbers, I just thought they were a little low for that situation. So retention, you can kind of see what your retention is in the console base for 2 weeks. I think that'd be good numbers to see with that.
Yeah, definitely.
So I do have a question. So we now have the Affinity system. Obviously you can agree with it or disagree with it, but it's there. And then obviously we already got the news of like, we're waiting on the console news. So those are two things. Or like, one, we already have one. The other one, we're just gotta wait. What is the next major big thing that we can kind of look forward to in season 3? Because
Iggy and Scorch.
Like obviously console, if it could like come out within like the next day or so, like great, right? But like it's something like it's already been say like it's just been pushed back. So in the meantime, is there something else that's going to be coming to like kind of just build on top of like season 3?
Yeah, I think for the winter, we're going to do an event around that. So we'll have like some stuff in game that players can earn. Assuming like this is all subject to change, so I'll just add that disclaimer. But the goal is to like have some stuff that players can earn. Like now we have this system set up where you grind, you achieve a level, you get reward. Like now that system works, we can kind of add in events and all these other things. So the goal there would be to try something for the winter break. A lot of the patch is also polishing up the UI and certain things. Like there's things that like I'm not happy with. Like for example, I think this was added in this patch, but you couldn't leave a party from like this widget on the side, like the social thing.
Yeah.
And I thought that was like pretty annoying, so we added that in. But there's a bunch of other stuff we want to clean up. So it's mostly like quality of life things on the UI. I don't know if this is gonna ship, but I'm pretty sure I've mentioned it before, so I can just mention it here. It's like a lot of I mean, I'm personally happy with how projectiles feel in the game, but a lot of people aren't happy. Like tend to be like a negative sentiment towards them. So we rework the projectiles, and that'll probably ship in 13 as well. And so that's maybe a big gameplay change, but it's not content. And I think, again, don't quote me on this, but I also think they're adding in new items as well in 13. So Those are a few of the things to look forward
New?
to. And
Wait.
Wait, no, hold on.
Hold on.
Like new items or like reworked items?
I can't remember exactly what they're planning to do, but I think that there's plans to add new items.
Well, we definitely need that shit. I'm gonna be real with you.
Less.
So
Yeah,
I go ahead.
Also, we have like something really exciting for me personally in December, but that one I can't leak, but there's like definitely something exciting to look forward to. Maybe less for you guys, but it's pretty exciting.
Okay, you just confused me with that one.
Yeah,
I'm already
exactly.
excited about the new items.
The
new items already do it for me, but I'm glad you guys have more. Okay.
So the console test, can we get any confirmation if it's PS5 only, or is it going to be PS5 and PS4 crossplay thing going on, or?
Yeah, it's PS4 and 5 and crossplay with PC.
Okay, so crossplay will be on.
Crossplay with PC too?
Yeah.
That's huge.
Like that's our intention. Like, I mean, we already played PS4, PS5, PC in the office already. So we play, that would be our intention to do crossplay.
Okay. Speaking of things you play in the office, I went to someone's Omeda City profile this week, and they had some games that were 1v1s and 2v2s. Is that like here or there? Is that like, I don't know,
that's definitely not like something that's on our roadmap. I think
not like a real thing. Okay.
It was mostly, from my understanding, to test projectiles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was just curious.
Not Penzo creeping.
Hey, not me.
All right. Somebody asked in chat and reminded me, so I had to ask you. Maybe you'll know more about it. But so one of the shows, or before one of the shows, I found that there's runes on the UI everywhere, and I went through and what's the word I'm looking for?
Decoded.
Oh yeah, I think
decoded. Yep, decoded the runes. And some of them I couldn't completely decode, but is there something to that? Is it just the developers? Is it just kind of like a little Easter egg? Is there more that we haven't found yet? Like, is there something that us as a community can kind of start hunting for more?
Yeah. No, I think, was it your stream that I was watching someone's stream and they were talking about it, but I didn't type, but I was like really interested to like listen to the thing. I think it was your stream, Bearded.
It probably was.
I think it was your stream.
Bearded's the only one who's done that.
Yeah, you were talking about it. Yeah, it was just like a little thing that one of the UI artists wanted to add in. It was like, it's. I mean,
someone had an extra 5 minutes.
Like, it's just like names. It's the name. Yeah, it's the names of developers that worked on the project.
All right. Okay.
Look at you, Bearded. I'm proud of you.
Right. So, I want to ask this question because you kind of addressed it a little bit, but I do see in the chat that there's a few people that would like a little bit more of a distinction, right? As far as this Affinity system being like an in-between free and premium, etc. There's a lot of people out there that feel that any progression system, just because it's called a progression system, should never have anything paid, and that anything paid should be in the store. Like, I had people coming by the stream, they're like, bro, I can't unlock my Affinity system, it's not on the store, because that's where they expect to pay. You know where I'm coming from? Is there a reason why that wasn't like necessarily like separated, maybe two different tabs within the Affinity, as opposed to putting it all on the same screen? Was it just like a UI thing, make it a little bit easier having one on top of the other? Like,
I actually don't know. I actually don't know why it was designed that way, but there's like a UI UX team that design it based on like player feedback and like practices and stuff, so they designed it that way for a reason, but I'm not entirely sure what the reason was. And I think also the store is like, it would be difficult because ideally when we have the tokens, you just press this button and then it gives you the option of which one you want to do. And if we just put it in the store, we couldn't use tokens there. So it would be like, people would think you would just buy it with plat, but really the driver is that you use tokens to buy it. So putting it in the store might be like a bit disingenuous of us, because then we're like, hey, people think they can only use plat, when really we want you to click on the button and then make a conscious choice based on what you have. And if you're like, oh, I can use tokens, then maybe you grind more to get tokens.
Any confirmation as far as how frequently somebody might be able to get tokens? Is it going to be like still to be determined? Or do you have a number that you guys want to try and aim for?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard to say, because you can earn tokens through different things that currently aren't in the game, right? So for example, I'm not saying this is how it works, but let's just take an example. It's like if I said you earned a token every 10 levels, but you could also earn a token because at each time you level up, you get a chest that has like all these rewards in it. One of them is a token. Like, I can't tell you how often that works. Like, I can't tell you how many you might have after level 50, because it's just random based on each person, right? And so it's difficult to say, but we definitely want to make sure that it's fair. And if people feel like it's unfair, we'll just tune it accordingly, right? Like, these are all numbers that we can change based on feedback. And I use chests as an example. I still have like more from the loot boxes, but there's like an arbitrary example to say that it's like difficult to give you like every 5 hours you would earn a token, for example.
So there will be multiple different ways other than just quote unquote leveling to get these tokens. So therefore there should be more than enough opportunity to use these tokens in all different areas of the game, that there's going to be future aspects like you were talking about. Might not just be for the Affinity system, might be for XYZ system that they have, or you guys have, that uses tokens as well. So is essentially what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I mean, obviously nothing's like set in stone, and designs change. Like, you know, we changed the Affinity system design multiple times, but the goal, I mean, the ultimate goal is that it feels like you are able to acquire these things at a pace that feels fair. And we're looking at different ways to give people rewards and different types of rewards that aren't just tied to like simply by leveling, right? Like, I think if something that I think is really good is like, hey, if you're just a positive influence to your team, or you're just a positive person, or you're a good member of the community within the game, right? Like, people commend you, then I feel like you should be rewarded. Like, maybe you get a token, you know, after X many, you know, like of your teammates saying you do well or whatever, because we want to also reward good behavior. So when we built these systems, we're thinking like further down the line, which also makes it harder to ship like pieces of these systems when they all rely on things, which is like, I guess, one, it's hard for us to share that full vision because things move so rapidly in development, but that's kind of how we're thinking about it. We want to reward you with like different rewards for also being like a positive member of the community.
Oh, I'm never getting a token. But I mean, I think a good just for like, I don't know if you guys thought about it, but I think Twitch drops would be also good for that. Just like, hey, here's some free tokens. All you have to do is literally watch a stream, and I think that would go a long way as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think we had Twitch drops on the roadmap.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, so like that's just another example of like, hey, we're adding stuff in, like, hey, if you watch a Twitch stream, that's something I thought would be cool. And I don't know like the legalities of this, but like, could we drop like content creators banners? Like, you know, you have your own like logos and stuff. Could those be banners in the game, and could people earn them through like watching your streams or stuff like this? I think those things are all super interesting. And also just watching stream, could you earn like tokens or whatever it may be? So yeah, we definitely want to create ways where you can earn these things doing other activities, like just like I mentioned, being a good player, being a good member of the community, watching Twitch streams. Also, if you just want to purely grind, play the game and level, you can as well.
Speaking of just like grinding and earning, do you guys know if you either have the technology and or have the plans to do anything like a double XP weekend at some point during the season, whether or not that's like, you know, to help people grind Affinity, that kind of thing?
I don't know if we have the technology, but I don't imagine it's like something really hard to like build. So I think it's something that we could do. I don't know if there's any plans to do it anytime soon. But I mean, like
Christmas, like was the thing that I was thinking.
I don't know if there are any plans to do it, but I can definitely ask.
I was just curious.
I can definitely suggest. Yeah.
It's just trying to get that Affinity skin no matter what.
Not just me. Okay.
This guy puts hours in on the day. Like,
okay. Right? He's like, I need more help.
Yeah. I want to be able to get all the Affinity skins before Christmas.
I just curious.
Going back to console real quick, and one question I was asked to ask is, do you know if keyboard and mouse would be optional for console players to be able to? Is that going to be ported into or whatever, the ability to use that? I don't know why a console player would want to do keyboard and mouse, but
yeah, I actually don't know. But I'm sure once we get closer to releasing more information, I can get someone to like include that in like an FAQs or something. But from what I remember, you can use a keyboard and mouse currently on them. So I don't know, but I don't know if there's like any requirements or such.
Okay.
And I want to ask something as far as skins go. It's hard to ping pong through all these conversations. I know we're kind of just shooting these at you. So just having my background in sales, right? I know that when it comes down to it, practices show patterns, right? So is it one thing, because a lot of people are still wondering as to why a progression system had to have any monetization whatsoever. So then are we to expect other forms of monetizations in every other system, as I would call in the sales world, trying to squeeze the lemon, trying to make as much money as possible in all different areas? Or is this like, you know what, like maybe there's a couple avenues here and there, but it's not like you're going to try and monetize everything, like every single possible avenue?
Yeah, it's definitely, so the Affinity, or like, I guess the base of the Affinity system is built in a way where like, it's like you can have a completely free version or you could turn on a premium one. Like it's super customizable in that way. And from my recollection, in the near future, there aren't any other systems that we plan to introduce that have monetization. And I think the one thing that we have learned like from this Affinity system is like, hey, we just probably be like, have a more open conversation, like, hey, this is what we're thinking, this is kind of the designs, this is the mock-ups we have. So before we actually go and build this thing, how does the community feel about it? Like we might not do that with everything, because I think there's also something really exciting about like opening up the game and seeing the patch notes and this thing is shipped. But I think we're definitely going forward, kind of maybe open it up to like a select few where we feel comfortable that information might not get leaked. And then as we get more closer to shipping a system, maybe being more open with the community. The current plan for the winter one though is that it's completely free, like to earn the rewards.
And so with AI being added, the AI chat moderation being added, and with that currently evolving as it's going, what is your stance on all chat?
I don't necessarily think I've ever seen it being used in a positive way. And I've played League, so I haven't seen it I've never been like, oh, this guy played really good, let me tell him he played really good. It's mostly in a negative way. And also, a lot of the data that we got back was this overall resulted in a more positive experience. And it's something that I think is just going to be more common, and it's actually in a lot more games than people think. So like we're not the first customer of this product, right? Like there's loads of games that are already using it, and that gave us the confidence to use it. I think ultimately it results in a better experience for players. Sure, there's like a lot of tuning. So for example, I think it was like on the highest settings for us for a period of time where it was like super sensitive, where like the game and the age rating that we have, we could kind of bring it down. So there's definitely still some tuning there, but I think ultimately it's going to be a net positive for most players. And to be fair, everyone I've ever looked at that got chat muted had said something that I probably like, you deserve to be banned. Like not even like chat muted. So like some of the stuff people say is wild.
What about an end of match chat? Just like a random place to type GG or GG easy, like,
Hey, no,
type no
GGs.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think everyone who says we're gonna type GG is like, I don't know if you're being honest with yourselves. Like, sure, maybe we can have it like anything you type says GG anyways. Like,
right? Like, you're so bad. GG.
Well, I mean, there's a 20-second timer that kicks you out of the scoreboard area, right? So what if you just have those 20 seconds to type stuff out? and of course, it's still moderated by the AI and whatnot, right? But in its own, like even just those 20 seconds,
the amount of
and then
chat bans exponentially. Man.
Yep. I agree.
mean, I would be chat banned in a day if they.
You know how
launched
mad
all
people are
chat
when they
ban, I'd
lose,
be out of
Windu?
there.
Yeah, like that's the worst time for somebody to be typing is after they lose.
Yeah. No, before you even said it, that's exactly how I feel about all chat, Robbie. I'm not for it either. I just think literally every experience I've ever had with it literally is just somebody to either they're aggressively shitting on one person or they're like being passive aggressive, shitting on that role, like, oh, jungle was trash, whatever, and they're having a conversation with the other team, hey, our jungle is trash, that's why you guys won, whatever, something like that. It's like, it's never a positive thing. Like nobody ever goes into that like, dude, your jungle was amazing, great job on that, guys. We lost, but your jungle was great. That doesn't happen. Like, and then if you want to say GG, just go into that person's stream and say GG, because they do it already anyway. So at that point, whatever. Like,
Personally, I say
that.
ship all chat and give me an option to turn it off. Like I want to all chat people, Like if you can't handle it, bro, turn it off. I want to be able to all chat people.
But you won't be able to because you'll be banned. You're gonna be a permanent. You're gonna be a perma ban all chatter.
For half of the first match that I play, I can all chat. Okay.
At least the second one, maybe.
It depends on how the first one goes.
Yeah.
Is this Affinity system set in stone, or could things be subject to change? Like, let's say, for example, if you guys decide to remove the premium track down the road based off of feedback, like, is it all subject to change, or are you pretty dead set on this?
I think never say never, but the initial data that we have was overwhelmingly positive, to the point where we were pretty surprised. And so I don't know if we want to change it. That feature is kind of done, aside from the tokens and some of the other stuff that we wanted to add, which are basically linked to the tokens. So that feature is kind of done. And also we're just a little careful with putting something in that players paid for and then removing that from the game or changing how it works. That's always a slippery slope as well. So we want to be a bit careful with that.
So we've seen this question 6 million times, and the people I guess want the answer for it. So why did you guys monetize a system anyways meant to celebrate your time instead of just creating a battle pass for it? I already have my own opinion, but that is the question.
It's getting repeated a lot, for sure.
Yeah.
They just want a direct answer as to why monetize something.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things when we went to design the system was okay, we really I think the reason we ended up hiring Tim was because someone in the Discord was hey, you should make mastery skins. And then Tim was someone who was making skins. We hired him, and then we were hey, start making some mastery skins. And this was before we even figured out what we wanted to do with the system. And then we had a bunch of mastery, or a few mastery skins. And then we're okay, the goal of this system is to drive player engagement, but we also want to we don't just want to ship one skin. We want to add in a bunch of other things. But to build a bunch of other things is going to take a massive amount of resources. And it might seem every game under the sun has these things, but they still take us as a studio a massive undertaking. So this system had to be built on top of what is also going to come probably next year is our quest system. So the Affinity system is under another system. And so there's a lot of moving parts. And so then we thought, okay, we're going to put in these rewards. And as I mentioned initially, it was you could prestige the rewards. You could get to level 10 and then you prestige and then you get the crown and then you prestige again and get the next one. But ultimately we decided the grind is so much that there's going to be a lot of people that are going to want to grind it. And then there's going to be some people that just don't have the time to grind it. And we didn't feel this was a super fair way for people who just wanted to pay to get quicker. So we thought it was a fair trade-off to pay to get something quicker. And so this is kind of the most fair outcome. The original intent was to just do tokens. So there would be a free and then there would be the premium, but you could only use tokens. We couldn't ship tokens quick enough. And then we knew that we felt that this might be like a better alternative until we could ship tokens. And so far, a lot of the player feedback has been extremely positive compared to what we thought like on Friday. And so I think we struck a good balance where it feels fair to a lot of people, where they can purchase the things that they want that are actually like also extra cosmetics that a lot of these we had to build as well. And that players, once we add the token system, you'll be able to earn completely for free.
Now, I will say one of my personal concerns whenever I saw any sort of monetization in the system, it makes me think that you don't want to lay all your eggs in one basket and you want to monetize different avenues. That worries me because we you just mentioned you got a stockpile of skins that you guys want to kind of just release us at the store all at once and etc. But when I see multiple areas being released in monetization, it makes me feel like that one usual moneymaker might not be the moneymaker. Like it brings a little bit of lack of confidence as far as skins go. Is there anything that you can say to people that might have that idea, like, oh, are their skins not going to be that good? Is that why they're monetizing? What do you have to say to those people?
Yeah, I mean, I think I touched on it briefly before, was like this system doesn't drive like massive revenue for us, and it also doesn't drive like massive revenue for other companies. A lot of it is from the skins, so we know that the skins have to be like up to par, because ultimately they have to be cool enough and they have to feel like a fair exchange of value for you guys to want to buy them. Like, we're not just going to drop 100 skins and then you guys like, well, they all suck, right? Because then we'd obviously be doomed. And so we have a bunch of skins that we are working on. They're almost done. I'm not sure when they'll ship, but we've shown them to like some players already, and the response has been extremely positive. One of them is a skin line as well, so that's super exciting. And one of the things that, based on a lot of the feedback that we got from players, is like, hey, why don't we just ask the community like which concepts they want us to make, right? So something that we got a lot after we released the monetization video with Alex, I think, where we showed like a bunch of concept art, like people like, oh dude, we want like the monkey howitzer one or something, or like the Richter demon one. And so like that kind of helps us give a good indication of like, okay, these are the things that players want. So rather than just like making a bunch of skins, why don't we just ask players what they want? So we'll be sharing some concept art. I don't know when it's going to be ready, so it might be a while from now, but we'll be sharing like some concept art and showing you guys like, hey, just tell us which one you want and we'll like go ahead and make it. And we'll try not to like reveal all the things that are going to come with those skins, but at least we're making something that we know people want. And I think I always wondered why games just didn't do that. Like, have a little pop-up that comes in the game and surface it to like all the people that play this hero or whatever, and they can vote on the skin that they want. I think that might be a smarter way for us to do it, where every skin that we make costs a ton of money, and we want to make sure that it lands and feels like a fair exchange of value. And it's not something that Robbie, the CEO, wants personally, but it's actually something the players want. So I think, and then in terms of like the skin quality, I would say, I think last time my comments about Zaros were taken a little out of context. What I mostly meant was like, hey, we produced a character, and I feel like the quality of the work that we did on that character aligns with the quality of like Paragon, where a lot of the details that character has and the scaling on the skin. And I think that was like, hey, we can match the quality. At least for us, we feel like we can internally. It fits with a Paragon cast. I think it looks like it could have been made by Epic. I'm sure some people will disagree, but that's how I personally feel. And so it's now like, hey, we know how to make characters of that quality. We can go ahead and like continue like pumping these out. And I think you guys will be pretty happy with the skin line that we drop sometime next year.
Whatever happened to that Bellica skin with the VFX animations that got teased?
That one's still like, we finished most of the VFX, but then we just got busy working with other, like for example, the VFX artist that worked on that skin also did all the VFX for the crowns, did all the VFX for the Affinity system, did the VFX for Wraith, and then is doing the VFX for the next hero. So that VFX artist is booked, and then the other artist is also working on the next hero. So we'll probably end up, the Bellica one is one that we wanted to ship this year, but it's likely it'll be next year. Like that one is going to have new VFX, new sound, and some other stuff. So it's not just like just an average kind of skin.
Is that one still planned to be like apart from the whole store that you plan on releasing, like a little early access thing to give, kind of put up on the store?
I am not sure. It would probably depend on when they finish it. Like if they finished it before early access, then maybe we'd drop it in early access. But if it ends up being like, hey, we don't have capacity to finish it, we'll probably finish it after.
Party chat, like actual, like in like while we're like in the main menu and we're partied up, we're 5 stacked, whatever, but we're not all in. Especially when we're getting console in here, we're not all going to be in a Discord call. Are there's going to be an option for a party chat going on there as well?
Yeah, we're definitely going to be adding chat in. I don't know when it's planned, but it's definitely on the roadmap.
Awesome.
All right, I've got a question. This is like I have 2 questions, but they work into each other. Next week is 11 months since EA launched.
Yeah.
Like that, right? So in the last 11 months, are you happy with, like, so again, 2 questions. A, are you happy with how much the game has changed since release? And B, if you could redo the way that you guys did EA, if you could start back in last December, what would you change?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm pretty happy with the game, although I do feel like, it's like a good and a bad thing. So I'm happy with the game because after 11 months, I feel like we've changed some stuff, but probably haven't changed as much as what we would have if we were like a live free-to-play product. But we're also building all these other things at the same time, which a lot of, when you go free to play, you kind of just need to have to exist in the market. So I think there's definitely more stuff we could have changed, but I think we got our priorities right and then adjusted based on feedback. But the positive thing that I think has been really encouraging for us is that our metrics, even though we haven't changed that much, are still extremely comparable to other games in the industry that are basically free to play. So that gives us a lot of confidence that as we start ramping up, like we're going to see, hopefully, everything trend upwards based on the fact that if we add more content, people should feel more engaged, and that should create this like cycle where more people coming into the game. And so I think that's been really positive for us. If I had to go back and change doing EA, I'd have maybe focused on more social elements and getting those in quicker, like being able to add friends sooner, easier way to add friends, and then maybe having a more like I would like to have been able to give people rewards as they happen versus at the end of the season. Like I think that feedback loop was like, I play this game and then 3 months or 5 months later, like I get this reward. It's like a user may have churned by that point, as happens with literally every game, right? And so I think that feedback loop of like, hey, I hit level 10, oh, got reward. Oh, go to level 20, got reward. Like I think that helps keep people engaged. You can have the best game in the world, but I think those things just add to that experience. So I'd have probably shipped that as well. But overall, I think it's been a pretty good early access. Like it's the first game I've ever shipped, so I don't really have a benchmark to compare it to, but I'd say it's gone pretty well so far. I mean, what do you guys think?
Well, like I'm on a similar wavelength, but from a player's perspective, like me personally, if I showed you day 1 footage of Pred on December 1st, it looks the exact same, right? Like nothing has changed realistically as far as the core gameplay loop. The only change is Fangtooth, right? There's no new items. There's a couple new heroes, sure, right? But like to me, it just hasn't changed much. And that, I play the game every day, so that kind of thing. But like that's where I'm at. So
I want to jump on that though, Pinzo, because like that's also a good and a bad thing. To where like, because even the fang teeth, I don't even think you can really tell through a game like that change, right? You just like, oh, maybe the animate or the picture of the fang teeth looks different like a little bit later in the game. But I think that speaks to just the gameplay itself, and I think that's something we've always been okay with as a community, no matter what side you're on, is the gameplay is great, right? But I think you're 100% correct though. Like, you won't be able to see it through gameplay. It's all about like being there consistently, and like kind of being active in the community. And I think maybe I remember completing something like maybe changing like the mini orb prime, but even still, then there's like nothing that can be changed. But like, I don't think you guys can really change anything for the gameplay itself unless you guys change like either the map or an actual game mode, because no matter what, it's still going to be the same game mode, right? It's still going to be the same game mode. It's still going to look the same. The only thing that's going to change is items, numbers, heroes, and stuff that people have to like be following to really get at. So I think you guys are doing a good job for what you guys are changing and like for being in the community. And I think that like I said, the map and the new game mode is like the only way you can really see that bigger difference of like hey, we kind of like really kind of change a bunch of stuff in the game. But that's just me. I don't know about
I mean, I somewhat disagree. Like, I just like, in my opinion, in 1 year of obviously it's early access, but of a live service game, like, in my opinion, there have not been enough changes, right? That's me. I know that not everyone's going to agree with that. And I understand that it's EA and there's a lot, like, again, like Robbie said, I understand that because it's EA, before it goes free to play, they need to have, you know, this system, blah, 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 right? All these things in place for it to be a functioning free to play game. I do understand that. And as an EA player, right, that's sort of what we kind of sign up for, right? Is this game that we're getting some stuff, we get to play it, but they're mostly working on the stuff they need to get done for free to play. It's just like, as a player, I want it to change more, right? Like, it's a double-edged sword. I do get to play the game every day because they put it into EA, but also because they put it into EA early, they still have to work on all this other stuff. It is like this double-edged sword, but like, me personally, I want the game to change. So, you know, that's how it goes.
I think this kind of falls in that situation. We know that Omeda is not a AAA company, right? And we know that they can't operate at the speed of a AAA company, but we can also admit that the operation is a little bit slower than some may want. Are you guys actively hiring? Are you guys looking for more, modelers or whatever, people, artists, whatever it might be, to kind of help your process to speed maybe this process up? We're not having one guy create the skins and one guy make them and take that idea and put it into the game, so you got two guys actively making the prestige skins when we could have had four guys and it maybe would have done faster, in that situation. Is that something you guys are working on?
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult one because, right, like, we could have had we had multiple artists. We could have had more people just working on the skins if we wanted to get them out sooner. But it wasn't blocked by the skins themselves. It was, hey, we built this quest system from a while back, and we now wanted to and then we got feedback from players. Hey, we want this. We want some sense of progression. And so what happened is we had to change the roadmap to fit this progression thing that ultimately we didn't plan for before. And then we're like, okay, well, how are we going to build this affinity system reusing things that already exist so that we don't have to build it from scratch? And so we built a team that then used part of the quest system to ship this thing, which makes it difficult to just throw more people at a problem. Ultimately, it doesn't mean you move faster. And I think where, I definitely agree, there's definitely optimizations we could make in our workflow, but I think where a lot of the things come is that we're constantly taking in feedback, and then constantly, our roadmap is shifting all the time, which also makes it difficult to share with you guys, because we're hey, we shipped this thing, and now people want something else based on the thing that we shipped, which doesn't align with the roadmap that we told them 2 months ago. So for example, we ship the Affinity system and now everyone wants tokens. Okay, now we got to bump something else off the roadmap, which moves anything that was a work in progress. And so it's always this like thing that's in flux. I think once we get a lot of the base systems out the way, that thing just becomes easier to manage, right? Like you're not moving things that like that we basically think are priorities. So I think it's less about hiring more people, although we are still hiring, but more just us maybe figuring out a better workflow for those things, and then just being a little more agile when things do change to react to community feedback. But ultimately, some things just take time, right? Like if you think about Paragon's development, for example, like it started in like 2011, right? And then we got a beta in like 2015, 16. And so like, even though we have a lot of the assets, spinning some of these systems up they can take like 6 months, 9 months. And they just take time, unfortunately, especially when you're trying to do them for multiple platforms.
Okay. I think I'm understanding Lucifer's question, and if I'm not understanding it, forgive me, but I have seen this question the way I'm going to word it around as well, and it's something I definitely want. Hero specific ability key bindings, you know, like or not key bindings, what's what I'm looking for, how you want it to, like hotkeys, yeah, like so I want my Richter ultimate to be instant, but I want to everything else, or not everything else, but other items I want, abilities I want to, you know, point, click, and do a little extra with it, you know, to make my accuracy a little better. But I want something fast. Like, is there going to be something that you can that's going to be happening anytime soon?
Anytime, maybe, yes, but soon. yeah. Like one day, sure. Anytime soon. I'm not sure. It's not like something that's on the roadmap currently.
Okay.
Yeah, just being completely honest, like it's not on the roadmap. But just some insight to that, it's like we gather data from other games and no one uses, like a small fraction of the player base actually ends up using it, and so we just kind of weighed it against all the other things that we have to ship, and we just felt like this was something that we know people want. People at the company ask for it all the time, but we're like, it just impacts a tiny percentage of users that we think shipping something else would probably add more value. Like if we could ship, like if it was between like the Affinity system or key bindings, right? Like, and also the other thing is like input is a very like finicky thing. It seems like anytime we add input stuff, some stuff tends to break. So we're always just conscious about that as well.
Got you.
Okay.
All right. Well, I'm one of those small percentages that want it, so I'm gonna use it.
It's like I also want it, but it's also, you know, it's like just weighing it up on the roadmap. It's not something we will.
No, I got you.
It's something we will ship eventually.
Nope, I got you.
2 questions here from Turd Dog. First one, is Wraith still your favorite hero?
Yeah.
Well, good thing you can't burn mana to get extra damage now, right? Then on top of that, Turd Dog was actually asking because Turd Dog brought it up. Back in the day, there were several different crowns. One of them was like this little floating halo crown thing that I believe Sevrog used to have. Is there a chance that like other sort of crowns will be added in future systems, or maybe you guys, you know, give us spicier crowns down the road, maybe not necessarily related to the Affinity, but, you know, just other cosmetic crown orientated? Or is this just like, hey, these are the only crowns you get?
I would never say never, but currently there's no plans to add in more. I do worry a little bit about some of the heroes that do look like a little weird, but I think we found like a good middle ground that we're happy with. And then in terms of like other crowns, something I just thought personally would be cool was like, what if you could earn other things that weren't just crowns, like different types of hats? Like, I don't know, maybe it's Christmas and you can earn like a Santa hat, and then you can add the Santa hat versus the crown to anyone you wanted to, for example. So we built the system to be flexible. So now we have like options to do that. Whether we end up doing that or how we do that, I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, but I would never say never, because it was something we thought about, right? Like we're building a lot of these systems to have like long-term benefits.
Sure. So I know it's getting kind of late. I want to ask this before, you know, you kind of head out, but why do you play with motion blur?
Why do I play with motion blur? To annoy Empty.
Yeah, no empty. Okay. Okay.
Well, that's all I got to do. I'll turn that on. Crowns. Is it fair to give Scorch a crown as well as Iggy? Like, since
that's a good question.
Good question.
I think that would. I mean, I don't know how it would work in the game, but I just think that it's unfair for Scorch not to have one.
Side question: does Iggy get the Beast crown or the Humanoid crown?
I guess you guys will have to wait and find out. I guess.
Wait until like patch 13.
No, if Iggy comes out before Wukong, I'm gonna be highly upset.
Dude, Iggy, I told you, Iggy's gonna drop as a Halloween prank. He's gonna be in the game for one day.
For one day,
can't play him. He's just Prime. He's gonna be
just there. Prime. You can see all his skin and everything. He's just like, oh, okay. Well, I guess
they're just gonna drop. Iggy's gonna be the Orb Prime for one day, and he's gonna drop turrets, and they all one shot you. Good luck.
Oof.
All I'm saying is
horrible game mode.
Jump scare game mode.
All right. I think we got a lot of people's questions asked. I don't know what you guys thoughts on that.
Are they? Yeah, I think we literally asked everything they wanted to hear.
We may have missed a few of them, but I
asked everything I wanted to ask.
Chat was kind of bumping, and we appreciate all the support. I know some people wanted harder questions asked, but if some people think that we're not asking the hard questions, but we ask them in the most respectful way we can ask them, because it's still a business here, guys. This isn't something, we're not just bringing pitchforks and right. Torches, so you guys got to understand that that's what we're doing here. This isn't just us, writing on Reddit. So if you want to do that, that's what Reddit's for. This is an actual podcast form show, and we were respectful to our guests. But I think, again, you guys have any more questions? Because it's late for Robbie, so I want to get Robbie out of here. We can kind of finish up on some of the things we got.
We'll get Robbie back on here, like when the new hero, like what's the original hero's name?
Emerald. The code name is Emerald.
Yeah, code name is Emerald.
This is trying to get it out of me. I
was saving you, Robbie. I was saving you. I
saw the gears turning in Robbie's head too.
I tried.
I was like, have we revealed the name? Like, I can't even keep up with like half.
That's my best shot. Sorry, that's all I got, guys.
That's all I got, chat.
I almost got him. Close.
All right. Okay. So, Robbie, again, thank you so much for coming, hanging out, and answer all these questions for us. We greatly appreciate it. It definitely shed some light on some things. We did kind of have a little dark days there with the patch and the announcement of council kind of getting extended, or pushed back. We definitely appreciate you coming here and give us that more information. And again, I think we'll keep up on this little CEO, Omeda, maybe once every quarter if possible, whenever I know your schedule's crazy, our schedules are crazy sometimes, so we'll do what we got to do, and we'll reach out to you again soon.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, thank you a lot for having me. Appreciate it. And I think you guys have built a super awesome platform, and I'm always happy to jump back whenever schedules align.
All right.
Yeah, Jules.
Yeah.
Right, so let's go ahead and do our outros. If you guys could.
Outros? We're not going to continue talking? All right, that's fine.
Are we?
Oh, you guys can. I could drop off if you guys want to continue.
I was just saying that we're already going towards that 2 hour mark, man. That's what I'm saying.
We are on that 2 hour. That was quick.
Yeah,
we are on that 2 hour.
That's what I'm saying. Like, hey, we're
trying to get back to that Narbash grind.
And yes, 1,000%.
He's like.
But no,
he's like, you already hold me 2 minutes hostage, right? Like, he's hitting F1, get me out.
No, but yeah, if anything, we'll definitely go over more patch orientated details. We're gonna get a little bit of time to test things out. Be on the lookout also for Twitter posts that we'll probably announce here, because we do want to have a Predcast customs again. But since Wraith has to be earned, we just figured give people a little bit more time to earn Wraith. That way they can use the character within the customs. So be on the lookout for some sort of post from us there. But no, let's go ahead and do our outros. Tell people what type of content are you up to. Robbie, for example, I know you like to sprinkle in a YouTube video here and there. You can't stay away from that shit. So let people know what you got going on that side as well. let people know where they can find you, etc. And same order that we introduce ourselves. We could.
When's the next Twitch stream? Well, we know you were just streaming yesterday, I believe. I saw the go live option. So.
Oh yeah, I don't know. Like I find like today I was like I wanted to be in bed by 8, so I was like, yeah, I was tired. I don't know when I'm gonna stream, but I try to put at least one video out with every new hero. So I just put out a Wraith video. So if you want to check that out, my YouTube channel is RGSace. You can also follow me on Twitter, I guess. And then I will try to stream at some point, maybe this week, maybe this weekend, yeah. But yeah, I just want to say thanks to you guys for like this awesome platform, and also shout out to you guys as well, because a lot and the other content creators that were in the chat on Friday, because I appreciate that. Obviously this is like a work for me, it's something I love, but it's also my job. But I know that you guys don't have to do that. You don't have to take the time out to like help us, or provide your feedback. Like that's something that you do out of the kindness of the game and the passion that you have for the project. So I really do appreciate that to you guys, and also the other content creators, and also to the other members of the community that were like super patient with us, and understand that we won't always get it right, but we'll try to do our best to rectify things that we do get wrong, and they were always willing to have like an open discussion with you guys. So appreciate you guys and everyone in the community who was kind of working with us to kind of make things right.
Appreciate you guys for coming out. I mean, most of you guys are in the UK or just EU in general, and it's pretty late, and you guys stayed up pretty much the entire time. So, I mean, that goes a long way as well. It's like a two-way street. So,
yeah, appreciate that.
Or it's like a two-way boat ride.
Street boat ride. I don't know what you up for, baby.
It's not a street that crosses the pond, man. I'm just saying, it's got to be. So, all right, Pinzo.
Yeah, I'm Pinzo. I stream every day at around 2 Eastern. I upload YouTube videos every day. I try to, stick to my schedule. And yeah, other than that, I don't really have anything cooking at the moment. So yeah, I don't know. I'm working on some masteries, working on some stuff. I got a Wraith build coming out in the morning that you guys can see. Kind of cooks, kind of chefed some stuff up. So other than that, yeah, I'm just kind of vibing.
What mastery are you pushing for?
Xeris is kind of the one I'm working on, but like I cannot sit down and play one character for like a bajillion games in a row. I play like I've been playing a lot of Wraith to like practice and like find out what's good on Wraith, and then it's like, oh, I got a game in jungle or offlane or whatever. I'm like, okay, I'll pick Xeris, but I won't play him a bunch of games in a row. I'll play him 1 or 2, and then I'm like, okay, I'm bored. I got to play someone else.
Copy that.
Weak mental. Anyways, your boy F6. I'm be playing Xeris. I have not played any other character since then. But we're trying to get that. I do stream over on Twitch. Make YouTube videos. Cast on the PCC. But other than that, yeah.
All right. As for myself, you guys can see me streaming Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Wednesday's obviously the Predcast, unless something changes, but that's announced on Twitter. You can get me there at T_B_Wolverine. But Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, you can see me Affinity grinding, because that's what I'm going to be doing nowadays. And yeah, like what Windu said, we'll be doing the Predcast customs here hopefully next week. But we'll get them on going here shortly. With the hero acquisition changes, it kind of makes it harder, because the whole point of that was to be able to give you a spot to test the new hero out, and not have to fight the draft dodging. But that's kind of makes it a little more moot in this point, because not everybody's able to unlock them. But we'll get to that. We'll figure something out, and we'll get that going again. But real quick, again, especially with kids in chat, we're streaming. We're helping the kids out at Mott Children's Hospital. Anybody who can help donate there to help provide them with something gaming. We're all gamers here. That's why we're all here talking about a game. So if anybody can help with that, that'd be greatly appreciated. So other than that, Windu, all you, bud.
For sure. I'm honestly just gonna be grinding them in Narbash, bro. Like, if anything,
First one to get a skin.
I want to, but I know I'm not, because I already got 2 buddies that are already level 6, halfway almost to level 7. So I know I'm not gonna. I know I'm not gonna be the first one. I know.
Has he slept?
These kids are built different, man.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I know I'm already not going to be the first one. I know for a fact, and I'm going to call them out. I know for a fact Wumba and Neo are legit like inches away from already having a skin. On Richter and on Wraith. Because when I got to 5, and he's like, oh yeah, Wumba was like, oh no, yeah, bro, I hit 5 like 10 matches ago. I'm like, fuck, bro, like, yo, chill out.
I saw Wumba. Wumba was playing Richter. I woke up to try and get a Wraith video at like 8 a.m. my time. Wumba was in a game as Richter. Got into a game with him at like 4 p.m. still grinding. I'm like, dog. Yeah, every game, yeah, whatever. Every game's Richter. I'm like, dog, what?
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna be back on that hero grind. And if anything, I'm gonna give a little tidbit as far as to the community. You know how we sometimes here at the end of the videos give a little bit of advice to the devs, to the community. I just want people to be very, very aware, because we did have a ton of people in the chat expecting us to be here with which pitchforks and shit, right? And this is a platform where we're gonna ask questions, we're gonna help provide information, we're gonna help provide clarity, right? What the community decides as far as those answers is totally up to you guys, right? I can't wait to read some of the comments and everything, but at the end of the day, we're here to try and convey your voice. I'm not gonna sit here and cry and complain for some people for you when I might not necessarily share the same sentiment, right? But we're still trying to get 100%. Everybody's opinions across. So it really is one of those things that be very, very mindful and be very, very respectful as far as how we treat other individuals in this community and necessarily how we host a conversation, because a good debate is needed so this game can progress. And that was a big part of that talk that creators had with the developers behind the scenes, where we sat there and we're like, yo, here's how we feel. We don't like this. We don't like that. Here's what we think should be done at a minimum. And I appreciate the fact that the developers sat there and took all feedback in from us partners and everything. But in its own, I want the community to understand we're here to try and be that in between, because think of it like this: if Predcast didn't exist right now, those avenues would be much more limited. So we appreciate everybody tuning in. We appreciate all the comments. Please leave a comment down below as far as what you guys thought about everything. I know there's going to be a lot of opinions, so if you could leave a timestamp so people know exactly what you're talking about, because we did talk about several different things here. And if anything, much love, and we'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.
Peace.